It's strategic. It looks just like I did it. It's very strategic. It just got me wondering, like, it shook me a little bit.
This is the story of Genesis Patricia Tanksley, 27, who dropped her husband, Lazarus Tanksley, at the hospital and then drove away after he was fatally shot in the chest.
Oh, God. I love Lazarus. Lazarus, oh, God. It's personal. It's private. That's for me.
Witnesses reported that Genesis fatally shot her husband during an argument, but she claimed that another person was responsible. She granted a jailhouse interview where she denied knowing anything about the killing.
But there was a guy that was there. I noticed him. Lazarus came to the right side of the door, and then he opened it. Then, pow, the gun went off. He shot immediately.
Did she actually kill him, or did someone get into the car and kill her like she said? Hello and welcome to Twisted Crimes. Subscribe and hit the like button for more stories. This story happened in Mobile, Alabama. The Mobile, Alabama metro area is a place rich in history and culture, located in the southeastern part of the state along the Gulf Coast. Mobile is the 9th largest port in the United States and the 12th busiest. With a crime rate of 40 per 1,000 residents, Mobile has one of the highest crime rates in America compared to all communities of all sizes. Genesis Patricia Tanksley, 27, was married to Lazarus Tanksley and they had 2 kids. Things started falling apart for the couple not too long after their first child. They did not like each other anymore because Lazarus claimed she was hostile and abusive. That did not stop her from getting pregnant with her second child again with Lazarus. Whenever Genesis cannot have her way around Lazarus, she would do things like stab his tires and key his car. While Genesis was heavily pregnant and expecting her second child, she went back to Lazarus's house even when she had been told not to show up again. Lazarus immediately called the cops. They showed up, but Genesis decided to bolt instead of talking to the cop. She assaulted the police officer and bolted, which ended up in a statewide police car chase. She went to a TV station to tell her side of the story, claiming she did not assault the police officer.
The pregnant woman accused of leading Pritchard police on a chase yesterday is wanting to tell her side of the story.
WKRG News 5's Jeremy Jones spoke exclusively with her today. Jeremy joins us live at Pritchard Police Headquarters. And Jeremy, the pregnant woman says she was tased by officers.
Yeah, that's right, Pete and Roseanne, and she says it all started with a custody exchange gone wrong.
I had to just flee.
Pritchard police say Genesis Tanksley led them on a chase to Daphne Monday morning. Tanksley says it started after she dropped her 4-year-old son off at her husband's house in Pritchard. She says when she arrived at the house, her husband immediately called the police. She explains next what happened when police got there.
He came straight at me into my car, and he tried to, he actually did. He threw his handcuffs around my left arm. Then he was forcing me to get out the car, get out the car, get out the car. He said, if you don't get out the car, I'm gonna break your arm.
Pritchard police say officers were getting ready to arrest Tanksley and her husband for domestic violence, but Tanksley, who is 9 months pregnant, says an officer tased her.
He pulled out his taser and pointed at me and actually shocked me with it on my arm, and it had went through my entire body, and I just started having contractions.
Before she could leave, Pritchard police tells us that she hit an officer with her car, but she says that never happened.
I drove out the driveway, and he bagged up out the way, but he says that he alleged that he was ran over.
While driving away to Daphne, Tanksley called her father, fearful for her life, and her dad says he was on the phone with Police Chief Walter Knight and then his daughter to get her to pull over.
She was right to where I was, so I said, I'm finna come out. And I pulled down the road, she comes up, and I stepped out to stop her.
Tanksley pulled over at the Chevron on County Road 54 in Daphne. She hopes sharing her side of the story will bring more context to the situation.
We're gonna definitely need a legal separation done. I definitely want to go to court first.
And Pritchard Police Chief Walter Knight says that the warrants for Genesis Tanksley and her husband for domestic violence have not been signed yet, but Genesis will face more charges, including attempting to elude and striking a police officer with her car.
Fast forward to New Year's Day of 2025. Lazarus on New Year's Day was at someone's house celebrating when Genesis again showed up. Within the hour, Lazarus was dropped off at the hospital by Genesis and she drove away right after that. She fled the hospital and was nowhere to be found. Genesis was later apprehended by police. She denied killing Lazarus, claiming a mystery man shot and killed him, so she drove him to the hospital. She insisted she was innocent, but was asked why she did not wait at the hospital. She replied, "Because he was dead." Genesis was held in jail on a $250,000 bond. Genesis surprised everyone when she granted a jailhouse interview to reporters in an effort to clear herself.
The woman accused of killing her husband on New Year's Day is speaking exclusively to WKRG News 5's Haley Kennedy. Haley joins us now in the studio. And Haley, you sat down with this woman and her father today at Metro Jail to hear what they say happened, and they had quite a story to tell you.
Yeah, they sure did. Genesis Tanksley tells me what Mobile County Sheriff deputies are saying is not true, and that she does not have what it takes to kill anyone, let alone her husband. But she does know who did it. Hands and feet locked in shackles.
I've been wrongly accused by law enforcement, and that their job is for justice.
Genesis Tanksley is accused of killing her husband, Lazarus Tanksley, early on New Year's Day.
He was already shaking, and like you could see his soul leaving his body.
Mobile County deputies say Tanksley went to her husband's home, got into an argument, and shot him to death. But Tanksley says that's not true, claiming that she and Lazarus got to the house at the same time.
But there was a guy that was there. I noticed him.
That guy she describes is a 5'8" male with a darker complexion, but a stranger to her and her husband. She says the man tried to get into the back of her car, asking for a ride.
Lazarus came to the right side of the door, and then he opened it. Then, pow, the gun went off. He shot immediately.
She says witnesses helped get Lazarus into the car, and she drove him to USA Health, but then left him there.
Why didn't you stay at the hospital?
Because Lazarus was dead.
Leaving him for dead, Genesis says she went back to the house to gather evidence and to go tell her dad.
So when she said what she said, I immediately shut down. I can't. That's it. I can't. That's it. I don't want to hear nothing. I can't take this.
Andre Kostarfin says when deputies knocked on his door, he already knew what would happen to his daughter.
You're going to be locked up tonight, and you're going to be accused of murder. This man right here, that detective, he's going to say you done it.
Now Genesis is locked in jail thinking about the person she says killed the love of her life.
Lazarus want him arrested, but me, I wouldn't say nothing.
You don't want him arrested?
I wouldn't try to judge nobody, but if I was God and I had to judge somebody, I wouldn't. It won't be nice. It won't be none good. It won't be none good.
Do you want justice?
Yeah.
Lazarus and Genesis have 2 kids together, and one is only a few months old. Genesis is scheduled to be back in court for a preliminary hearing next week.
Right after the interview, Lazarus's friend had a lot to say about her. She was said to be a troubled lady who did not want to let go of Lazarus.
Friends of the man who was dropped off dead at the hospital early on New Year's Day is speaking to News 5. Now, this follows our exclusive interview with the wife accused of killing her husband.
News 5's Haley Kennedy has been following this story for us. And Haley, friends are telling you that the wife who you interviewed at Metro yesterday has a history of acting out against her husband.
Yeah, she sure does. Friends of Lazarus Tanksley tells me the two were not together and did not live in the same house. They say this all follows years of harassment, including Genesis allegedly busting the windows of his home and slashing his tires. They say the only reason why he kept her around was for their 2 kids. Long live Larry, written on a flower vase placed at the murder scene.
It's literally like a movie. Nobody woke up and thought that Larry would be murdered. That don't even sound right. That don't sound right at all.
Mobile County deputies say Lazarus Tanksley and his wife Genesis got into an argument when she shot him to death, then dropped him off at the hospital.
She was just a terrible person, that's all I'm gonna say.
Genesis reached out to WKRG News 5 Monday from Metro Jail, asking to share her story, claiming innocence and placing blame on another man.
I never seen him in Pritchard. He was just out there just hanging out. Then he gonna jump in our conversation. That's weird, I knew it. Then he had a gun on him. And then he gonna shoot like that so fast. And then he died after being shot once.
A bond that she thinks could not be broken.
Oh God. I love Lazarus. Lazarus, oh God. It's personal. It's private. That's for me.
But his friends say otherwise.
Started off good, then she started getting a little crazy.
Outside looking in, you know, every relationship got their ups and downs, but I would say it literally like a Six Flags roller coaster.
Accusing Genesis of stalking, busting his windows, and slashing his tires. They say Lazarus's New Year's Eve plans did not include her.
He was at one of our other friends' dad's house, you know, celebrating New Year's. Came home, she was here, and then everything went down.
Did he have any intention of seeing her that night?
I wouldn't think so.
The lifelong friends were shocked that they would no longer have their buddy, but they're not surprised Genesis is accused of his murder.
It's strategic. It looks just like I did it. It's very strategic. It just got me wondering, like, it did. It shook me a little bit.
You can't get out of this one. You can't, because everything she was saying was not making sense.
Genesis still remains in jail. Do you guys believe she is telling the truth or she is lying? Our sincere condolences to the friends and families of Lazarus. We hope the truth of the matter will surface very soon. May his soul continue to rest in peace. Please stay safe out there and we shall see you guys in the next video.